Hello, everyone. I really wanted to share with you today some more about the CHRISTOSAPHORA elixir, and really even more so background in regard to what this is really all about. I mean, it sounds, oh, great, Christ Ray elixir, but there's a deeper understanding, and I'm just developing that understanding myself through those, and I want to share what I am receiving with you. Apologies, my throat is not too good today. There's some major allergy stuff going on in the air. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly affecting me today. But I didn't want it to stop me from doing this, so I'm just going to try to do it anyway. I might be pausing here and there for an occasional cough. So I accidentally came across some information in one of my old Temple Doors issues, and I do not believe it was an accident. In fact, I know it wasn't. And once I found it, I thought, well, it's a little diffuse. Maybe I should, and then Thoth said, no, share this. So he wanted me to read this to you. I say he, the Thoth extreming, the being, the culmination thereof, because I felt a very personal connection to him this morning in regard to sharing this with you. So it's old stuff, it's out of my old Temple Doors issue, and sometimes it's making a little statement of referral to something previous in this issue. Don't worry about that. We're just going to go through it and just absorb what needs to be absorbed here from it, because this relates to the Christ as a universal presence, and this is what we're tapping into. This is not to disqualify dear precious Yeshua, the embodiment of this Christic force field, while he was present on this planet and still is, according to Thoth on Rigel. But we're not really talking so much about the personal incarnated version here. We're talking more about and we're addressing more the universal Christic energy. So I'm reading a quote here from the book. Oh gosh, I don't have it in front of me. Let me pause and see where this is coming from. Hold on a sec. Well, I grabbed this off of there, and I did not get the name of the book, but I know it's by that fellow Torkham Saradarian or something like that. He's deceased now. He has some really incredible material, and if I can find that link, I will share it later. But right now, I'm just saying that I'm quoting from his book, and then I will pause and say, now this is Thoth speak, because what I've done in what I did in the issue was I quoted, and then I stopped, and then there was a Thoth speak on that, and then we read more about the issue, the quote from the book, and then Thoth speak again. So I'm going to try to do this as best I can to not make it too confusing. So we begin with the book by this Torkham fellow, and he had wrote some really incredible material. So here we go. The Aries full moon is dedicated to Christ, to the risen Christ, and it is called the Festival of Resurrection. The energies of Aries is fiery. It charges and stimulates the spark in every form and causes them to advance and progress. Now that's an interesting quote there, because there's something recently discovered, well, in the last few years, called the spark of life. It was brought to my attention. And it has been proven scientifically. I mean, you can see it. That's how they found out about it in the microscope, that when the sperm actually fertilizes an egg, there's a spark of zinc. It just sparks the whole little ovum, and it just lights up like a Christmas tree. It's amazing. Of course, the scientists are saying, well, this is just a chemical thing. Well, it's and the Bible belters are saying, oh my God, this proves, everything that was said in the Bible. Well, it is a chemical thing, but it is a divine thing. So, there's a halfway balance point with all of that. So when I read this, it charges and stimulates the spark in every form. I think about that. That's one spark. You can bet it's charging. So that would mean that the Christic stimulation of energy moves into the ovum the minute it is actually fertilized. And that's what I'm receiving from Thoth right now. Okay, to continue with the quote. Resurrecting is progressive advancement of the spark. Resurrection is the path of the spark going home. through the seventh kingdom, the spark is resurrected from the cosmic physical plane and enters the gate of cosmic astral plane. The spark is the ray of the central spiritual sun and is going back to the source. Where that progress will lead, nobody knows. Even great ones say that after the solar system, there opens the sphere of great mystery. Okay, I'm just amazed because I'd grabbed this, I saw a few things I liked in it, and Thoth said, well, read it all. I said, okay, I'm going to do that, but I hadn't read it word for word. And just the other day, my dear friend brought into my field of awareness that they discovered this spark in the ovum when the instant the sperm fertilizes it. So here we are. I mean, it just fits hand in glove, and it's leading to what we're going to talk about in regard to the CHRISTOSAPHORA elixir. So now, I've stopped with that quote for a moment, where he says, where the progress will lead, nobody knows. Ones say that after the solar system, great ones say, that after the solar system, there opens the sphere of greater mystery. Now, Thoth, at the time I quoted this, said that Maia's feeling of returning to the source as she walked the path toward the Mur-door, and then also the chariot of the sun, Merkaba of divine solar hierarchy, proceeding from inward form, black hole, to outward evolution, sweeping humanity along toward the gate of remembrance of divine self, i.e. Shambhala. Now, we go back to the quote by Torquem. We are told that Aries rules the head or the mind, and the horses are nothing else but thoughts or ideas. Thoughts are very difficult to control, but unless we control them, there is no victory. Only on the mental plane is the fire of Aries consciously contacted and distributed to the lower kingdoms. This fire must be conquered and rules before a man can expect higher initiations. Now, from Thoth, he says, the horses of the chariot of the sun represent the intellect of divine thought, harnessed through the procession of cosmic fire, i.e. the greater zodiac. Now, this chariot of the sun, that's what he calls, that's what he titles his Merkaba. Those souls that support his energy field, and not just the souls, but there's an energy patterning that these souls display, I guess you could say. It's almost like some fellow jumps out of an airplane with a parachute, and he has all these other fellows jumping out of the airplanes with parachutes, and they all hold on to him, and they all fall together in this field of light, and air, and that causes them to move together in a synchronous way and land in perfect unison. So if you think about that as sort of kind of a symbol of it all, that's what Thoth and his Merkaba are doing. In his Merkaba, he titles Chariot of the Sun, but of course it has a greater meaning than just the Merkaba itself. Okay, so we continue. This is again quoting from Torquem. Aries brings into our solar system the light of life, or electric fire. It has two rays. The soul ray is the first ray, and the personality ray is the seventh ray. Let us remember that our soul ray relates us to the higher planes, to the universal goal, to cosmic visions, to the unmanifest prototypes, to the purpose. Oops, just a moment, page turn here. The personality ray is that energy line which connects us with the manifested life forms, with the separate or individual enterprises, with the limited fields of service, and with the field of conflict. Now, Thoth intervenes here, comes in and states, now this is Thoth, here is evidence the grace karma of the Grail Castle, Lane Fisher King. It is the midpoint in spirit-mind evolution where the divine is wounded as a witness or sacrifice of redemption. Like the pelican feeding its young from the blood of its own breast, so the fisher of men, the Christic wounded king, creates an elixir. Oh my God, Listen to that. I'm getting too excited here, but listen. Creates an elixir from the tie between divine and human, which is found in the very blood of life. I think I'm going to cry. I did not read this when Thoth told me to read this today. I did not know this was in here. And I just saw this little last paragraph, and I put it aside like, oh, well, maybe this has something to do with the elixir. And then I got, read the whole thing. And I thought, well, I haven't even read it yet. And it was, no, that's okay. Read the whole thing. And there it is. I've got to read it again. Here we go. This is Torquem speaking here. And he says, or maybe this is Thoth speaking. Which is it? I'm getting too excited. I think it's Thoth. Where do we go here? Okay, it's Thoth. It's Thoth speaking. So I'm going to read it again, what Thoth is saying here. Here is evidence the grace karma of the Grail Castle lame Fisher King. It is the midpoint in spirit-mind evolution where the divine is wounded as a witness or sacrifice of redemption. Like the pelican feeding its young from the blood of its own breast, so the fisher of men, the Christic wounded king, creates an elixir from the tie between divine and human, where it is found in the very blood of life, The soul ray is the grace factor within humanity that awaits liberation. The personality ray is the karmic wound that must be cleansed through remembrance of the God self. Okay, that is Thoth quote, and we go back to Torquem now. Torquem says, resurrection is a gradual fusion with the higher level of existence. Aries forces the soul onto the burning ground and subjects it to a purifying process during incarnation. Through the lesser fire of mind, the jungles of experience are set on fire and dissolve in flames, and the path clear and unobstructed vision. The path stands clear and unobstructed vision is achieved. Now that ends Torquem, and we begin Thoth again. And Thoth says, here and in the following passages, Maya's vision of Christ dissolving in the sacred fiery dew coming from the Metatron diamond or crown point through the blood spear, which links God to man, is given greater understanding. So that's the end of Thoth. Now we begin Torquem. Torquem says, Christ is the soul of humanity, and at the Aries full moon, he is forced by the electrical fire of Aries to create burning grounds in the hierarchy, in the 7 main and affiliated ashrams. Now we stop with Torquem and we go with Thoth. And Thoth says, we see that the Templa Mar grounding point at the Mogollon Rim, that's in Arizona, has become a burning ground for the sacred fire of Christ. Now, this was during a period of time we were working with the Templa Mar matrix, which is next to the pyramid, got too many words in my head. The Pyramidus radius now encompasses the Templa Mar, but the Templa Mar is still an active and probably the main grid within the Pyramidus radius. Before the Pyramidus radius ever formed, and this was back before it had formed, the Templa Mar was the biggie. But now Templa Mar has been encompassed with the Pyramidus radius, but it's still in its own active presence. And so that's why he's referring to this here, because the Mogollon Rim is a major point of entry into the whole Templa Mar field on the planet. That's kind of going off into another thing, but I just thought I'd explain it. So now we go back to Torquem. Torquem says, Christ is the soul of humanity, and at the Aries full moon, he is forced by the electrical fire of Aries to create burning grounds in the hierarchy. I already read that. I'm sorry. Well, maybe I should read it again. In the 7 main and affiliated ashrams. Okay, so that's when Thoth says what I just read to you. Okay, that about the Mogollon Rim has become a burning ground for the sacred fire of Christ. Okay, now back to Torquem. Every time Christ contact contacts a higher energy and submits himself to advanced teaching. He creates burning grounds. These burning grounds cause great changes in the hierarchy and in ashrams, the personal of which tries to adjust itself and its mode of activity to the new incoming energies and situations. Oh boy. So now I'm going to then it says, that Thoth and my work with that and William Bueller's work with that, because it was referring to Bill's work previous to what I'm just reading you here, are personnel of the Templemar burning ground. So that's very interesting. But this elixir thing is just pumping through my veins right now. So I'm going to put it on hold. I need to get to Thoth. I need to just, come back to reality for a moment and say, well, what next do I need to share with you here? Well, I wanted to find Torkom because his work is brilliant and I didn't want to not be able to find him. So his name is Torkom Saradarian. That's Torkom. The last name is Saraydarin. But you can see, since he is deceased, that his books are very expensive right now. And the one that I'm pretty sure that I'm quoting from is The Wisdom of the Zodiac, which is $40. But if you are on Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for nothing. I'm almost considering getting Kindle Unlimited just to get this book, because I'm pretty sure, not positive, that this is the book that I was quoting from. But he has many more books than this, so I'm going to do some research and see if I can find them. But in any case, I just wanted to give him his due because his work is absolutely brilliant. I say that because it totally agrees with Thoth. But, that's my lens. So anyway, that's one thing I wanted to share. And before we continue on the deeper stuff, here's my page. I've updated it. See my bottle? I have this incredible skull bottle for my elixir, thanks to Edie Cooper, who gifted me with one. She found them on Amazon. And if you all want your own bottles for whatever purpose, go to Amazon and let me see what the name is again. Okay, so here it is. You can find it on Amazon, and it is Unishow 30 millimeter 10Z skull glass dropper bottle. But if you just put Unishow glass dropper bottle, that's UNISHOW glass dropper bottle, you'll come up with it. It's only $6.95. And you can get them in different colors. You can get blue, red, and there is another one. There's like a rainbow colored one. It comes up if you type the whole thing in. These tops are incredibly difficult to operate. They're baby safe, but I couldn't, even Edie had a hard time opening them. So what I did was I just took one of the dropper bottle tops of the other ones that fit it and put it on there. So you might want to order an extra plain dropper bottle top or something from like one of these or something. It does fit. And so you'll have something you can actually open. But anyway, I wanted to share that. And when I got into the deeper stuff, I was pretty sure I was going to forget it. So I'm just sharing it now. And so, where does this leave us now? Well, this whole new addition of understanding about the elixir that is created from the tie between the divine and the human, which is found in the very blood of life. The soul ray is the grace factor within humanity that awaits liberation. The personality ray is the karmic wound that must be cleansed through remembrance of the God self. So what I'm receiving from Thoth at this time is that this CHRISTOSAPHORA elixir is creating a bridge between the divine self and the personality self. and it is bringing in this sacred substance that actually is created within the pineal gland. What it's doing is it's stimulating that production to become the Christic solvent that brings together the divine and the personality. And more. It does more than that, but we're addressing this particular quote right now. And what more? Probably more than I have any understanding of. But from this moment, I can say that it is allowing humanity to focus on that divine central Christic mandala that was placed as a divine inscription within our being as human beings on this planet. Now, animals have divine inscriptions as well, make no mistake about it, but they're slightly different from the human one. And Thoth has said all along that we are the stewards of the planet, not because we're superior than all other living things, but because we really should not take that attitude. We have a particular role, but all is one. However, we were given divine stewardships, and we really, I'm going to use a calmer word here, messed it up. You know, we really have not done a good job as of late, as of the last thousands of years. So, but you know, with the divine, there's no make wrong. You just get what you get. And what do we really want? Do we want to fulfill our divine stewardship roles? Well, we could go off on a lot of different paths there, but let's stick to the elixir. The elixir is helping the planetary modality to form a consensual reality around divine stewardship. And divine stewardship doesn't just mean taking care of the polar bears and the squirrels. It means taking care of us, taking care of business on all the levels. And it's tender, loving care, as Elvis would say on his logo with the lightning bolt strike. He had two of them made for his friends. One was for the men and one was for the women. It wasn't just for girlfriends. It was for female friends as well, and the wives of the men who worked for him and whatever. And he didn't give them out like candy. You know, he gave them out when he felt it was the right time. It was a spiritual process for him. And one was taking care of business, TCB. I'm sorry, I couldn't get it there. Had a brain freeze. TCB with a lightning strike, taking care of business. And the other was TLC, tender loving care, but it also had a lightning bolt on it. So we need to combine the two in our hearts and minds. And this elixir really does that. Taking care of the business of the spirit, soul, self, and all those things that apply to that, which is out in the real world as well, and doing it with tender loving care. So that's why Thoth has said all along that this elixir is meant for the planetary whole, but we can individually partake for our individual needs and true needs, you know, higher spiritual self and all of that. But when we do so, we cannot separate it from, we can't separate that branch from the tree. If we say, oh, I'm going to take this elixir, I'm going to get healthier, I'm going to have my emotional situation taken care of, or whatever, I'm going to do this, it's just for me or for my child or for my husband or my family and friends. Yeah, we're going to do this. If you just focus it that way, you're cutting the branch off of the tree. You need to make sure the field stays expansive. And that means when you partake of the elixir for yourself or your family or whatever, you're saying, I do this in the name of the world. I do this, yes, for my own personal need at this time, but it's a greater need. It's a greater development of consciousness. It's for the planet. So you're always receiving on that higher level as you're receiving for yourself. And that should be true for anything we do. But this elixir is especially sensitive to that program. So you're not going to see as good a results if you cut the branch off of the tree. And I also, to go to the next point on this, is that I was thinking at first, well, you know, maybe I could send out a few bottles to people, not, just for the postage and whatever. Maybe I'll just, or maybe I could just give you the formula. We've got all these ingredients and put it together, put it on your altar, charge it up. Usually that kind of thing works, and that's fine. I'll just give out the formula, although it would be kind of expensive if you don't already have a lot of the oils like I did. And Thoth said, no, it wouldn't work that way, because the focus, the ingredients is just a matrix. Thoth is placing the true formula into the matrix. And these particular oils are the best suited for the matrix. Now, the matrix itself is coming through this house down upon that little altar of the Christ. There it is. Of course, it's got the matrix of the crystal skulls that it's bringing into the field as well. That's right next to it, that you don't see in that particular picture that I showed. The one right here, you see the altar, but on this side over here, to the left of your vision, is the matrix of the crystal skull matrix, the hosting of the dweller skulls. And there are other things in the room that are affecting it as well. But the main altar is this. And what is happening is that he's raying through a direct interaction with everything on this altar. And it's going directly into the field. Now you can't see it here, but I do have the Chinamani stone now. And it's behind this skull here. Every time I put an extra item on the altar, which I do only when Thoth requests it, it's going into the elixir. And then it's going into the matrix, the art matrix that I created, which is underneath this copper panel that you see, copper sphere. Not sphere. Let's call it again, copper plate. Finally got the word. So when it does that, everyone that already has or will have, excuse me, that image, which is this right, where is it? It's right here. Where is it? Here, this one, right here. Everyone that already has this printed out in a little small square and is, working with it, putting crystals, waters, whatever on it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Everyone that's doing that is receiving, oops, I clicked off the wrong thing there, didn't I? Yes, I did. I'm going to have to get it back. By the way, this is the page. If you lose the page that we're working with, you go to Osiris Arising and you go on here on the pages section, and you will find Elixis Mundi Index. This is the whole index for the Elixis Mundi, and the CHRISTOSAPHORA elixir is on that. I'm going to try to keep things going on this one page, so that it doesn't get too complex, because I'm making my videos, and every new video you can find here. You just go to the link of the series, and here you will find all the videos, including the latest one. And so, what was I saying? I got off on another topic, and I can't remember. Oh, so every time something goes in here, it goes to through the elixir, and it propagates into the field of the image here, and it sends it out to everybody who has this image, both on your computer, which you can certainly put it on your computer as well, and on your altar. So it's updated. It's constantly being updated, just like a computer would send you updates, only you don't have to install them. They just go there. And it is good to have it on your computer and even phone. I should make a phone image for it, which I'll do, that more easily goes to the phone, and on your altar. So anyway, I know, I was back to the story about the elixirs and not giving you the formula, because it wouldn't be any good without the program itself. And the program is coming in exclusively into this field. The reason for that is it's coming through Creston Stone Mountain that contains the sacred on and all of that, that portal. It's coming through that portal, coming into the elixir here in the sacred field. So this is the way that you can access it. And it's a lot easier for me because I don't have to mail out bottles to people. And, I could give the formula, but it's not enough. You have to have the entire field resonating within it. Now, there may be eventually a more powerful way that this works. Now, you can charge your waters and your elixirs and things on this template. So, but it's not going to be quite, the same as the true energy field here. Now, I'm asking Thoth right now, well, what about if you put together, he's saying to me that you could put together various things. You could use your own formulas to create a secondary elixir. It's not going to be the queen mother, but a secondary elixir for yourself. And you wouldn't have to stick to the formula that was used to create the original, because that you're already receiving through the template. But I'll tell you right now, I have spikenard, I have frankincense. Those are the two most powerful ones, along with I also have a little white lotus. I also have the sacred powders from Lady Nellie's land, the black powder and the pearl gray, and it's been charged with. So it has a very strong Andara charge. The elixir really responds to the Andara, so especially the green Andara. So if you have green Andara, you can put it around the template or on the template when you're not using it, charging it or otherwise, or little pieces around it too. So you can create your own elixirs, he's saying, using the template, placing it on your altar with the Andaras and all these other things. You get sacred water. I'm using Shasta water and the water that Unity brought me from all over the world. The mix is all over, but you can get whatever sacred water, and you put it in with you put it in the bottle that you have. And I would suggest strongly that you get a green bottle. If you go up to Amazon, you can get one of these little skull bottles. If you don't want a skull, you can get tons of other green bottles, off of Amazon. So get one of those, whatever kind you want, and put your sacred water in there, and then put your oils. If spikenard is very expensive, and so is frankincense. If you don't want to use those, you don't have to. You're getting that field inside the template. So you can put, other things, make your own elixir. What you're doing is you're making a matrix for it, even if it's just pure water, that would be fine. And so that's how you make your own elixir from it. It's not the Queen Mother elixir. It's not even the mother elixirs, but it's still very powerful, and it works. I say it works. I don't know if it works, but this is what Thoth is telling me. So that's how you can do it. And if it's pure water, you can drink it. If it's drinkable water, you don't want to drink it if you have other fancy things in it, but you can drink it. And you can use that water to charge other waters. In other words, you could put something as big as this on your template, and then you could charge a little bit of water, leave it on there, a while, and then charge that, place a little drop of, like 3 or 4 drops of that in the water that you're drinking. So you can work with it that way. Now, you notice I have the tuning forks here that Pamela Minton gifted me, and they come from Randy Masters. He has incredible tuning forks. And this is what I use to charge this setup every day. Oh, and another thing to do, now this is only if you're not drinking it, okay? You don't want to do this if you're drinking it. But you put a little tiny crystal inside so that you shake the bottle, and the crystal has the piezoelectric effect. That's another thing that magnifies it. You could put a little piece of Andara in there. I don't have Andara inside this. It's just regular crystal. But you could use a little tiny piece that you can get inside the bottle top and shake it, every day. And then if you have tuning forks, use, I don't know. He wanted very specific vibrations. So I wouldn't use tuning forks. unless you had the thresh and the org tuning forks from Randy Masters, and that's what I'm using here. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But you can shake the bottle up, you can tone in front of it, you can do, just meditate with it, whatever, hold it. And if it's just pure drinking water, that you have, Kangen water or purified water, you can drink it, but otherwise not. And not with a crystal in it, because you might get a little crystal fragments or whatever, especially if you're using Indara, which is actually glass. So let me see what else. Well, I'm just sensing that there's so much more than I'm going to put on this video now, and more than I know right now, but I feel it, it's in my field. So this is probably going to be a continuing series. But one thing I wanted to address right now is that Thoth is saying to me, we really don't understand what the Christ is all about. It was embodied in the human being, Yeshua, and he radiated it out into the planet during his lifetime here, and he still holds the cord to that vibration in the blue star Rigel. But the Christ itself, there's the Christic archangel, but even the archangel is a node of this Christic field. And when Yeshua was baptized, the Christic archangel came into his being, rayed into it, I might say, rather than came into it, full on rayed into his being. And since the pure soul of Yeshua was one of the what's it called? I'm sorry, I'm having another. It's called the sun spirits that Rudolf Steiner called sun spirits. Now, I don't know if Rudolf Steiner said Yeshua was one of the sun spirits. I can't remember, but Thoth did. I'm not really versed on Rudolf Steiner, but I've read him here and there when Thoth has kind of indicated that I do so, or that kind of thing. And I don't even have any of his works, so I don't remember. But I do know that Thoth said that the pure soul of Yeshua that carried the whole ray was a sun spirit. And so anyway, there's so much more to the whole Christ thing than we can fathom, far beyond any religious connotation. Human beings took it and made a religion out of it. Yeshua didn't make a religion out of it. Yeshua, as his true name was. We did, humans did. And that's okay. We've done some bad things with it, but we've done some good things with it too. Every religion has its good and its bad. And so, I'm not going to knock that. But as the Dalai Lama said, religion is on its way out. Oneness of spirit is here to stay. And I truly believe that. Well, I believe I've said enough for this time around. And as usual, I get all excited over my own stuff. But I haven't read it in so long, and it just tied in. I mean, my gosh, this elixir thing. As I was reading it to you, I was reading it for the first time in, I don't know, 25 years. And there it is, elixir, the Christic elixir. So I can't help it. This is just me. This is who I am. So thank you all for listening. And I will be continuing this series. You can be sure of it. So, if you have any questions in regard to working with the elixir or whatever, why don't you send them to me? I won't be answering you individually, but what I'm going to do, I could if I have enough of them, unless there's just one question or something, then of course I will answer you individually. But if I get a bunch, what I'm going to do is I'll probably make a video addressing that once I talk to Thoth about it and get it moving, and can address these questions, because I'm just exploring this and opening up to this along with all of you. I mean, Thoth is just giving it to me little bits at a time, and when I've gotten something accomplished, like creating the elixir to this point, then he opens up and gives me more. And obviously, I was intended to run across this material, and I chose it only because I saw Burning Ground, Sacred Fire of Christ. I saw that much. I was in a hurry, and it was tiny print, and I didn't want to read it all right then, so I just clipped it out, saved it. Maybe I'll read that little section, you know? And then that was when Tho said, read it all. And I hadn't read it before. I was reading it to you for the first time in probably over 25 years. So that's why I get excited. Anyway, thank you all, and we will be continuing with this series.